Hello, and welcome back to the Bright Light Wellness YouTube channel and the Bright Light Wellness Substack. Here we go. Got another video for you today. Um, Today I want to chat about something that's really been on my mind a lot, and I really feel like it's such an important conversation to have because the wellness space can be so toxic. And when you get into this space, and I'm guilty, I've been here, you just start having this intense level of fear. And I've talked about this before in my own journey about how fearful I became of so many things, and there's a bit of ignorance is bliss, right? When we're so fearful of all these things, actually that creates its own toxicity in itself, and that can stall healing because we're just so hyper vigilant about all the things. So honestly, the fear can be more harmful than the actual toxin sometimes, okay? Now, we're constantly being told, like if you're in the wellness space, right? If you're in any kind of, following wellness people on Instagram or you listen to podcasts or whatever, if you're in the wellness space, you are constantly being told to fear something. And the reason why is because fear sells, right? It scares people. They tell them what to buy. They're fearful of this or that. And then that's how they get where they want to go, right? So that's how they make, how they sell you things to, that are going to fix you and supplement this magic supplement or magic pill or this magic protocol, or, that's how their reel gets a lot of views because they're selling fear. And I really, really try not to do that in this space because I know how much fear played a role into my own health issues. Because I was extremely fearful. And fear is not the frequency that we want to live at. But we're told to fear mold and heavy metals and EMFs and seed oils and plastics and infections and parasites and food dyes and chemicals and environmental toxins and all of these things. And while these things absolutely can affect health, I am not denying those things can affect health because I know switching out my toxic products made a difference. Turning off my Wi-Fi at night made a difference. Removing seed oils from my diet made a difference. These things actually do make an impact on our body's allostatic load, toxic load, right? But many people get trapped unknowingly, not by their own fault, right? Because of just this wellness craze space, trapped in a state of fear that ultimately does more damage than the toxin itself. So, my perspective is I certainly believe toxins matter, and we certainly want to diminish or lower our toxic burden that we're exposed to. So, I'm not going to tell you to drink out of a plastic water bottle on a regular basis. I mean, I'm drinking out of Blue Bottle Love that says gratitude on it. Like, I'm going to give my body the best energetic vibration frequency I can give it. But I'm also not going to panic when I'm going to fly in an airport, like fly to a plane on a plane, and I have to drink Fiji water out of a plastic bottle because that's all I could get. Like, I'm not going to freak out about it, right? So there's this line that we have to draw where we can understand, yes, this is the better alternative. But we also have to know, like, what actually is something. I'm just noticing I'm wearing my blue blockers on my head. What actually would be better for me, like in this moment? What is my best option in this moment? And not be fearful that that best option that you have at that moment is going to be really detrimental to your health, and not be fearful like of those things. I use the example with seed oils all the time. I don't eat seed oils on a regular basis, but I also don't have a freak out when I go to a restaurant, and like I just don't get crazy about it. I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Like, my body can handle it. Health should be building resilience where the body can actually start to handle these things, right? So toxins matter, environmental exposures matter, but our body and our biology is designed with incredible resilience and detoxification capacities. Now, if you're dealing with chronic illness, the burden is probably high. If you're dealing with chronic illness, your detoxification might be not as good as others, right? But that's the point of building the terrain back, the work that I do, helping support people revitalize their body holistically so that they are better detoxifiers, so that they do have better resilience when they come across these obstacles, right? So the goal is not to ignore toxins. I'm not saying just forget it, use, Tide laundry detergent with, forever chemicals in it. But I'm also saying to avoid being consumed by the fear mongering that's out there, right? It's a delicate balance that we have to play when you're in the holistic community. Um, so the stress response really changes everything. And when we live in fear, most of us, can live in fear, chronic fight or flight. I mean, I lived in fear um, probably a lot of my life, but it definitely started in 2020 with all of the energy around 2020. I was very fearful. I was very compliant. I was very worried about the health of my family, about the health of my parents, about my job and how that was going to change. I was a special ed teacher. Like that, I remember the fear really ramped up for me at that time. And then I got sick after the jabs. So, and then I got into the medical world, not in, I had always gone to the medical system, but they couldn't help me. And then I got into like the holistic world and it was fear, 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 fear. All of these things that I thought were safe were no longer safe. And that frequency, it was a huge, how do I say it? A huge factor in not allowing me to heal as quickly as I could have, because that fear was not allowing me to heal. I think it was like a block. And some of the practitioners I worked with, they all meant well and were supportive, and some said things and I didn't listen. I was stubborn. Um, but it was all of these fear things that kept coming up, and I would watch the reels on Instagram and watch the podcasts and the YouTubes and the da 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 da, and just like sucked into that world, the wellness world, so much. And I'm still like, I help people heal. That's what I do. But I try to help, I do, I help, I don't try, I do. I help people heal in a way that's not fear-based. Okay, so when we live in fear, what happens? Cortisol and adrenaline remain elevated. So these are your stress hormones, these are your stress response hormones, and they remain elevated all the time. You live in like a chronic hypervigilance, like you're always worried about all the things, like, oh, I'm not safe. Nothing is. Okay, I'm sorry. I think we had a little lapse there. So I think it's working now again. Let me just see. Um, okay, yep, it's still recording. My internet just went out for a second. So I'm sorry if there's a little lapse in this video. Anyway, so if the body is constantly perceiving dangers, threats, preparing for something dangerous to happen, and thinks everything around it is a threat, it's not going to feel safe and heal. To heal, you need safety. Safety is like the number one thing. So when somebody's in the state that I was in, the last thing I needed to hear was all these things are now, these are like, oh, it's all the toxins in your environment. It's the mold, it's the Lyme, it's the food you're eating, it's the glyphosate, it's all these things, right? When that was not what I needed. That was not bringing me safety. I mean, the thing that helped me heal, the first thing that helped me heal, I say it all the time, was optimizing our circadian rhythms, and getting safety and nourishment from light, from earthing, because that is giving an input instead of like removing something, give an input that brings safety to the system instead of giving inputs that bring more fear to the system. So this is really important when you work with people as a practitioner, as how I work with people, you can't bring fear to an already fear-based person. That's just going to make them feel worse. Okay, so fear can become a toxin itself. So fear itself can become chronic stress, hypervigilance, obsession with avoiding exposures, isolation, anxiety, constant symptom checking in all the time, and loss of trust in your body. And many people become so afraid of the world that they live in that their world just becomes smaller and smaller. So they're afraid of the world, so that their bubble that they're living in becomes smaller and smaller. Oh, I can't go out to eat at restaurants. I can't go out at night. There's too many bright lights. Oh, I can't eat that food because it has this in it or XYZ that has seed oils in it. Oh, I can't go to that place because, it might have mold. Or I don't want to go on a hike because I'm worried about a tick. This is not health. That's not reaching health. That is not health in any way. You want to live your life being aware of these things, but not being fearful and not letting it take away your life, like the things that you want to do on your daily basis. Okay, we don't want to live in small bubbles. Um, so we often talk about this is interesting about the placebo effect and the body's ability to heal through positive expectations, but the nocebo effect is actually just as powerful, meaning that when we believe something will harm us, our body can create real physiological symptoms. So fear can amplify symptoms and keep us stuck in a cycle of reactivity. Like we're fearful that I don't know, the airport's going to have tons of non-native EMFs. I mean, it does, but we're fearful of it. So then we have an uptick of symptoms because we were fearful of the thing, right? Not that the thing actually really bothered our biology. Um, so the fear can just amplify and keep us stuck. Thoughts and beliefs influence our chemistry. Our thoughts are shaping our reality. Our thoughts and beliefs influence our biochemical reactions. Our thoughts and our beliefs influence the mitochondria. It imprints on our exclusion zone water. What we believe is our real reality. So if you believe the EMFs are going to bother you, then they will. But if you believe that they won't, then they won't. This doesn't mean it's all in your head. It means the mind and body are deeply intertwined and connected. They cannot be separated, right? If you believe milk causes you diarrhea, you probably have diarrhea. If your beliefs are so powerful, okay? Yeah. So the body was designed to handle stressors. Humans survive things like smoke from fires, imperfect food, bacteria, viruses. I don't even think viruses exist, seasonal changes, natural toxins, countless environmental challenges. The body has liver, it has a kidney, it has a lymphatic system, it has skin, it has lungs, cellular repair mechanisms. These are all to help the body detoxify things, right? So health isn't creating and eliminating every possible toxin. It's supporting the body's ability to adapt. It's becoming more resilient to the stressors in your life. So the goal is not resilience necessarily. The goal is resilience, not perfection, right? Instead of asking, how do I avoid everything that's harmful? Instead, think of how do I become more resilient? And this is what I help my clients do. I build the terrain. I help their body become more resilient to stressors. I just went through a really, really stressful experience in my life. And sometimes I think that these things come into our lives to remind us how far we've come. And I was like, you know, physically, my body did much better than I would have expected, honestly. And I'm still going through this challenging time and should be on the other side of it soon. But physically, my body really handled it. Like it didn't, a lot of physical symptoms didn't come forth, which is such a big shift for me because I feel like in the past something like that would have just shattered me physically. Like I would have had a lot of, autoimmune flares or flares in my bladder or all these things, which none of them happened. So that was like, wow, look how strong and how resilient your body has become from the lifestyle that you've been living. Okay, so how do we become more resilient? Focus on sunlight, sleep, 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 sleep is our repair, nourishing foods, eating enough, minerals, movement, community, connection, joy, faith. Choose faith over fear, right? Faith and trust that your body is wise, resilient, strong, capable of removing what does not serve it. emotional healing, and reduce unnecessary stress, right? So we cannot heal while living in constant fear. Healing requires trust. You must trust that your life is divinely guided. You must trust and have faith that the universe has your back and that you must trust that your body is a healing machine, a self-healing machine that is capable of healing. You have to trust to heal. Trust in your practitioners and what they tell you to do. Trust. I mean, how many times do I mean, when I was really sick, I did that. My practitioners would tell me something. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. Like, I wouldn't believe, I'm not sure. I researched this. Like, I would go against, I mean, you want to question, but you also don't want to be like, you hire a person for a reason. Trust, right? Okay. Safety. The body needs safety to heal. It needs to feel safe. If it's thinking that everything in its environment is a constant threat, it will never complete the healing cycle. Never. It'll just keep getting stuck. Hope. We need to have hope. We need to have, it can't be living in despair, right? We need to have hope that my body is like the hope that this is possible. Like you have to believe that, or no, you have to not believe it. You have to know that you are infinite potential and that you are capable of healing whatever it is that you're trying to heal. Connection. We need deep connection with other people and surrender because we can't control everything. Unfortunately, as much as I, as a Scorpio sun, would love to control everything comes around into my environment, that's just not true. We can't control everything. So we have to surrender and just, again, go back to that surrender and that trust. Remind yourself, I am safe in this moment, right? I know that my body is a self-healing machine. Connect with people who have that kind of same kind of mindset. Don't connect with the people who have that negative doom and gloom despair mindset. When I was really sick, I used to go into like the mast cell activation like Facebook groups and I would look at this or the interstitial cystitis ones. I'm like, oh my God, my life is over. Like the fear and the anxiety would come through. I'm never going to be able to have intimate relationships again with my husband. I'm never going to be able to, be at a water park and feel okay. I'm never going to be able to be without pain. I mean, I'm sitting here with you pain free. I lived, the pain that I lived in on a daily regular was so intense. I'm telling you, I couldn't work. I couldn't take care of my family. Nothing last forever. It will change. But if your mindset believes that and despairs that it won't change, you could stay stuck because the mind is that powerful. Okay. So stay off of those forums that bring all that negativity in. Um, Sometimes the greatest medicine is just realizing that your body's not fragile. It's actually really strong and resilient and very capable of healing. You have to trust and believe and surrender to that. Trust in source, God, the universe, whatever it is, okay? You've got to start doing that if you're stuck. Okay. As I mentioned, I've walked through chronic illness, spent years learning about toxins, health. I've got tons of books on it right over on my shelf over there. And I've had to learn this lesson the hard way, honestly. There was a time when I thought every exposure was catastrophic. But true healing came when I shifted fear to trust, fear, faith over fear, right? Trusting that my body has the innate ability to detoxify and to heal. Of course, I still make healthy choices. I still support my body, but I no longer believe that perfect avoidance is the answer. Like I've had clients say to me, I don't want to go outside because they're spraying chemtrails. Okay, yes, I understand that, but you can't live inside. Like you can't live in fear. You need to go live your life. Like I'm still gonna go out. I go outside. I go outside no matter what's going on. It was a heat wave and I did a workout in the sun. Like that's actually I went in the shade, but I did a workout outside. That's my body got stronger in that moment, right? It's building character. It's building strength and resilience in your body. So you don't have to live in fear. Your body is intelligent, it is wise, it is adaptable, it is resilient, and your body I mean, it's magnificent. Think about your heart is just beating. Like it's just doing this thing. Like everything there's like a million things happening in my body right now that I'm not controlling. Not at all. And it just does it. Like it's just like a miracle. Like literally just put your hand over your heart and feel that miracle that it's doing all the time. Okay? It's created with infinite potential and created to be a self-healing machine. You just have to believe that. So respect toxins, know that they're around, you know. I'm not worried about mold or parasites personally, but respect things that can harm us. We don't want to have, I wouldn't recommend drinking out of plastic water bottles every day. I wouldn't recommend, certain things. Like I wouldn't recommend like working on a farm that sprays glyphosate, like being a farmer who sprays glyphosate every day. Like I wouldn't recommend those things, right? But we don't need to like worship and worry and fear monger everybody else. Okay? Because the fear of the toxin becomes bigger than the toxin itself. And that's just the truth. If this resonated, if you want to learn more, if you are like, wow, that was really interesting, Vanessa, I haven't heard that perspective before, you can come and work with me one-to-one. I am accepting one-to-one clients right now. You can either book in a one-to-one package with me, or you could just book in a homeopathic session or a nutrition and lifestyle session. I support you. And I do want to say, if your mindset is really struggling with like the despair or any of those things that I mentioned before, where you just can't really wrap your head around things, and get your mind clear, like those toxic thoughts, because our thoughts can be super toxic. So if you have toxic thoughts, flower and homeopathy are two things that I would absolutely use to support you in that, because sometimes we want to control those toxic thoughts, but we can't, and our mind just is taking over. So, that can be very helpful and supportive as well. All right, I hope this was a helpful video. You can reach me at brightlightwellnesscoach.com. You can send me an email, contact@brightlightwellnesscoach.com. And I am looking forward to supporting you. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Questions, comments, thoughts. Can you relate to what I'm saying? Have you been stuck in the wellness industry that is fear mongering you? Anytime I feel like somebody brings fear into my Instagram feed, I like it to be like funny dog videos or like things like this. I'm like, okay, okay, you unfollow. Like, I don't need that in my life. Like, I don't, that fear mongering is a form of toxicity to me. So I don't put it out there, and I don't want to follow people who are. So I'm not going to put content out just to get likes and views. That's not who I am. That's not standing in my own authenticity and integrity, because the last thing I want people to do is add more fear to their life, because there's way too much of that. There are clients who need a little bit of a reminders about like, this might not be the best thing for your health and maybe you should shift that, but it depends on it's meeting with your client where it's at. So, anyway, I hope that was helpful. Have an awesome day and I will chat with you soon.